there's a difference between being a helpmate and being a mother, right? Like when you come into a relationship and you're mothering a man, that looks like you're trying to pull him into things that he's not walking into.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? So like with me and Naima doesn't have to tell me, yo, go to Atlanta and record 5 podcast episodes. Like I'm setting all of that stuff up. The way Naima is my helpmate is, yo, babe, you know, I know you got 2 episodes today, so, you know, I'm just wishing you the best. I'm praying for you, da-da-da, blah, blah. I know you're gonna kill it. That's being a helpmate. The way she would be my mother in that scenario is, yo, babe, make sure you go and do this. And I also set this thing up for you, and I paid for this and that, and this person's gonna be there.
Hit the person up
that,
for you.
you know, that, no, you're mothering at that point. You're trying to pull me into something that I haven't walked into. And so I think it's very important to understand the difference between those 2 things. And I wanted to explain it that way so people are not sitting there like, well, aren't you supposed to support the person you're with? Yes, you are. Absolutely. But to a degree, right? To a degree. And you also have to understand your capacity. Everybody's capacity looks different. So if that's what your limits are, then that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Let's get into capacity.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
And that's why I had to take a step back because so I never felt angry towards the guy that I did something for them because I'm just that kind of person anyway. Like I'm just a very giving person. I don't need it in return. I feel like I am unique because of the way that I love others. So I don't expect you to be Simoine to Simoine.
Right.
You can't.
Right.
You can only be you.
Right.
So I think like that was the biggest wake up call for me was capacity because I was doing things and like, you know, coming out of pocket for things that I knew I had other things to save for. Like I just told you I'm about to move and just stuff like that. And there's just other things that I knew I needed to prioritize. But I was kind of like putting myself in a hole trying to help somebody else.
Right.
And I was like, you know, this is actually something that you have the power to get yourself out of or a situation you have the power to better. And not that I, you know, want that person to feel neglected, but it's kind of like, let me just help you instead of hindering you, right? And so I'm actually I'm in a great relationship right now. I just gotta throw that out there.
Amen, amen.
So, and this was a long time coming because I know we've known each other for years now, and I know that we've had some combos, and I'm seeing how this is showing up now. So many things we got to get into.
Yeah, let's
but I'm
talk
seeing
about
how
it.
it's showing up now that I'm in a healthy, like reciprocal, complementary relationship.
What's showing up?
Because I had periods in the beginning where I felt useless because I didn't have to do as much as I was used to doing. That makes sense?
Say that again. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Say it again.
Seriously, like I literally was like, I'm not doing enough, or always asking him like, are you sure you don't need me to do this? And he's like, you're fine.
Right.
Like everything's fine. So I'm retraining myself even now. And it's still a fresh relationship, but he is just, I love that man.
I love it. I love to see it. I love to see it.
Now I can be taken care of, and not like in a swoop in and pay my bills and all that kind of thing, but just, you know, just somebody to anticipate my needs, learn me, be patient with me, and create ease in my life. That was the number one thing I was looking for. I know we were going to get into that too. That was the main thing I was looking for in a man. Was like, okay, this time when I date, I said at the top of the year, I want to be strategic. The way that I, you know, think about my business, my schooling, my future, dating, everything. Like if it's important to me, I want to be strategic. And that can look different for a lot of people. For me, it was reading books, exposing myself to people that have not what I want, but have successful relationships, things like that.
Right.
So then I turned to our boy, Dr. Tart.
Dr. T.
And his wife, Mecca. And they're amazing. So it's ironic how God be playing. He be playing. He don't, but he do. And I was literally having a phone conversation with a friend, and I was like talking about the same thing now. I want to be intentional this year. Then I get on Instagram, and I feel like the algorithm be playing too.
Yeah.
And there's this clip of Dr. Tart talking about this class called the Ring Formula, a master class. And so I'm like, what are the odds? So he's talking about like 3 things. I forgot what it was. It was either 3 things that men are looking for in a woman, or like places you can go to meet men. He's always giving great advice. His content is great. So I was like, okay, I don't got nothing to do tonight. Like, I'll get on the masterclass. It's free, whatever. And they immediately reeled me in, only because, you know, they are very candid about, or transparent rather, about, you know, things that occurred while they were dating. You know, I didn't know they were both matchmakers, and they ended up meeting each other. So I love their story of how they met. They have a beautiful family. And they come from like a Christian perspective too, which was important for me. So I just remember us getting in there. I signed up for the masterclass course, which was about 5 to 6 weeks. And it's just for ladies, I believe, just for women. So we're in there, single women. It was like 8 of us. And I think why it was so instrumental for me is because I had a community. Because I feel like sometimes it can feel like it's just you versus social media when you're dating.
Right.
If you're a social media person. I'm gonna go back too. So Mecca had a clip online before. It was like some years ago. And she was saying that women need to stop dating with a, what was it? She said we need to start dating with like an abundance mindset. So stop saying there's no men left, or you know how now we joke and we say it's pee in the dating pool.
Right.
But if you have that mindset when you're dating, like that is affecting your perspective when you date.
For sure.
You're going to settle because you think that it can't get better.
It's subconsciously making you desperate.
Yes. And it can absolutely get better. Like it can get better. You can have, I won't say the exact person that you make up in your mind, because not everybody's expectations are realistic. But for me, you know, taking that class, listening to people, even when I didn't want to, doing things I didn't want to do, like getting back on dating apps. If I didn't have one of my sisters in that class to push me and be like, girl, just try Hinge one more time. Because I was very busy at the time with work. It was probably the hardest project I've ever had to lead ever at work. And I didn't have time. Like they were giving us all the tea in this class. They were telling us ideal places to go in Atlanta and other cities to meet men in person, how to work the room, how to like kind of like flirt with the guy, but instead of y'all playing the looking game, like things that we can do that are kind of subtle to make a guy come over, or we can initiate the conversation. They were just like really making us think outside the box. But one thing that I went in there with, it was my mindset on the fact that I was not about to get on any dating apps ever again. And my man was on there the whole time.
You was on that app?
All I had to do on that app is crazy. But all I had to do is give it a chance and be patient and change my perspective. I don't think I would have had the dating experience that I had this time without a shift of perspective.
Your perspective on apps, using apps, or just your perspective in general when it comes to dating? Like what perspective shift did you need?
I needed to shift my perspective about
pee in the dating pool?
I think, no, you know what? No, because I made that shift years ago.
Okay.
But I think for me, it was how I was going about dating, how I was approaching it. So maybe I'll say my approach. I wasn't willing to be patient because I would go out one time and be like, see, he's not out here. And it's just kind of like, you got to be realistic. You have to let things work. You have to let the dominoes fall. And then I'm going to share some tidbits too.
Please,
I need this to make sense.
Yeah, please.
So I have never had dating goals.
Okay.
Even though I knew it, I think we focus on the end goal. Like I know I want to be a wife. I know I want to be a fiance, because you got to be a fiance to be a wife. And I know I want to have a family, all this good stuff, right? You want a healthy marriage. I think we skip over the part where we have to work, right? So they make us like come up with goals in the beginning. And it was so hard for me at first. But mine were partnering with God, number one. I knew I wanted to do that. I wanted to build community. A lot of people may not have that goal when they're dating. Learn how to position myself for the type of man that I wanted to attract. Go on more dates, grow personally, and define my standards for dating in the process. Because what are your standards? That question used to stomp me so bad. Not what you looking for, right? But like, what are my standards for dating? You can't stand 10 toes down on what you don't know. Right? So, and then my last one was attracting the one by the end of the year. And I said, like, my next one will be my last one. So I want to be intentional. And that one was scary for me to type out because I don't know. I think when you put a timeline on things, they get scary. You know? Yeah. So, but I was like, you know what? No, that's me challenging God. So I'm like, look, I feel like I can attract the one by the end of the year. I didn't say I had to have $100,000 wedding. I just want to attract the one.